Welcome to Thrive in Design, a podcast about making money in beautiful interiors as it relates to product-based businesses in the interior design industry. Each week, we'll discuss innovative strategies on how to approach product development and design sales in a shifting market. I'm your host, Nicole Lashae Ben. Welcome back for another episode, and welcome to Season 6. I cannot believe we are in Season 6 of the Thrive in Design podcast. Just a few years ago, I set out to do this podcast in the corner of my bedroom, and I had no idea if anybody would listen. And here we are, 3,000 plus downloads later, streaming in 24 plus countries. And the most surreal experience has been crossing paths with listeners in the design industry at HD Vegas, Neocon, High Point Market, just so many places that I've been where I've crossed paths with listeners, guests that I've only had ever met online. It's just been such an amazing journey. So if you're not new to this, thank you for listening and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. Here are a few things to note about this podcast. For the new people here, my name is Nicole Lashae Ben, and I'm not only the host of this amazing podcast, but I'm also the CEO and founder of Thrive in Design. Thrive in Design is way more than just a podcast. We are a design consultancy that focuses on helping interior product brands thrive in design. We do that by really focusing on branding, marketing, and sales strategy. And we niche down to specifically focus on brands that want to succeed in the hospitality design segment. Every design segment is so different, from workplace to healthcare to higher education to retail to hospitality. They all take a special sauce to succeed. With hospitality, with so many players in the design process, from the interior designer to a hotel brand to the purchasing agent to the contractor, and sometimes so many other players come into play when a project is being brought to fruition. And from the interior product company's perspective, it takes a lot of strategic planning in order to make sure, one, designers are aware of your brand, two, that they specify your brand, and that spec doesn't get thrown out the door before it's actually purchased and installed in a hospitality project. So that's why we niche down. We know that special sauce in and out. I've been working in the industry for over 10 years, and some of the best projects that I ever did in the hospitality design segment for brands that I worked for previously really took a special sauce of strategic planning that I love to focus on with my clients. For me, my background is in interior design. Of course, for the people who have been here for a while, you know that I'm a Syracuse alum, BFA in interior design, go Orange, and a SCAD alum. I went on to get my master's in design management. And my passions from both of those educational experiences really brought together my passion for design thinking and innovation for interior product brands. And I'm so excited to continue on and focus on all the things I'm passionate about and continuing to make brands thrive in design. Just this year, we're celebrating so many things at Thrive in Design. Not only are we celebrating over 3,000 downloads of this podcast, but we hit a record on how many brands that we onboarded as our clients this year. We've worked with brands such as Decorator Industries, DeYoung and Associates, Hero Flooring, Fracture, to name a few, and the list keeps growing. We've also hit a record in our sales for our planner. If you guys don't know, I used to be a sales rep back in the day, and when I was a sales rep, it always took a strategic focus in how I would plan my day. Of course, there were times that I had to balance library updates, presentations, CEUs, project meetings with designers, and so much more. But I found that finding a really good balance in all of those things to not only make designers aware of the products that I was selling, but also making sure that I was hitting my sales goals always took strategic planning of my day. So a few years ago, I created a planner just for sales reps. So we've hit a record this year in sales with over 200 sales of our planner, which can be found at www.thriveindesign.co/brand-reps if you're interested in checking it out. So that's another thing we were celebrating this year. The last thing that we've been celebrating this summer is a soft launch that we did of our new program called Social. M for marketing, M for multi-line reps. When I first started Thrive in Design, I was really focused on brands, larger brands, medium-sized brands that really needed my help with strategic planning, branding, marketing, sales strategy, and all the things. And I'm still focused on that. But over the past year specifically, so many multi-line reps have been reaching out to me. They've said, hey, I've seen your content online, or hey, I've heard the Thrive in Design podcast, and everything that you're saying really resonates with us too. Could you possibly help us with marketing? And for so long, I had to say no because I couldn't figure out the right offer for multi-line reps and how I can help them as entrepreneurs and help them increase their brand awareness and help designers really know more about them and the products that they were representing. So after a year of toiling and brainstorming and trying to figure out what I was going to offer to multi-line reps in the form of a marketing service, I finally found the right solution and package and soft launched our program called Social, which is marketing for multi-line reps. It's essentially a subscription service where for a very affordable monthly price, a multi-line rep can sign up with us. They get 10 posts per month created. So that's graphics, captions, hashtags included. You get to review what those are. After you approve them, they get scheduled out as content on your social media platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn. Also, we include in our subscription some social media prompts because, of course, as a rep, you want people to know who you are, the ins and outs of your day, and what you have to offer, and a little bit of your personality too. So we put together some social media prompts that we send to you on a weekly basis to get your gears going to create your own content as you're going out about your day. And then last but not least, we also curate some really nice emails for you to send out to your client base to let them know a little bit about the product offerings that you're representing and any new announcements, events, or product launches that they might need to know about. So that's Social. And if you're interested in learning more about Social, maybe you're a brand that works with multi-line reps, maybe you're a multi-line rep listening, or maybe you just know a multi-line rep that needs some help with their own marketing, send them our way. Head to thriveindesign.co/msocial. So we're in season 6, y'all. And I'm so excited because this season is really packed with so many amazing guests. Of course, this episode is a solo episode, and I have some gems to drop on you guys today. But here's some things that you can look forward to. In the next episode, we're going to have Stacey Garcia, the founder of Libatex and Stacey Garcia Design Studio. We're going to have Reed Palmer in another episode, CEO and founder of Hero Flooring. Lauren Henley McKinnon, a fellow strategist in the hospitality design industry. And Norman Wyatt Jr., a fine artist and product designer who has been making waves within the residential product industry and will be coming over to hospitality sometime soon. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear all the amazing guests this season, but that's not all. Of course, I had to throw in some solo episodes for you because this year I have been on the move. I've been on so many flights to so many design industry events. I've been to Nashville, to the NEWH Leadership Conference, to High Point Market in the spring, HD Vegas, NeoCon, and I feel like I'm even missing a few. But specifically when it comes to the trade shows that I attended, HD Vegas and NeoCon, I walked both of those shows and I have so many insights to share for manufacturers around brand storytelling and effective strategies to engage designers. So as we have gone through the updates, what's new at Thrive in Design, what you can look forward to on this season of the podcast, let's get into the latest strategy trends that I've identified this year. This is just for the manufacturers. All right. So what we'll be going over today are 3 things that I've identified as strategy trends. And a lot of the times you'll see trends being talked about in a lot of different ways in our industry. Of course, we see color trends, like what's the latest colors that should be used in interior environments or product development. We see trends in terms of design trends, right? We see trends in terms of fashion trends. There's all the things. But I want to take a different spin on trends this time around. Because when it comes to trends from an interior product lens, The really good companies, the big companies, the million, billion-dollar brands, they're doing something that some of the smaller brands have not caught on to yet. And I'm going to point those out just from the things that I've noticed in walking those shows. The three things that I think every brand should be doing and that I've noticed that really successful brands have been doing are as follows. The first is artist collaborations. The second is effective brand storytelling. And the third is in-booth and out-of-booth conference events, right? And so all three of these are in reference to a trade show experience specifically, or product development as well. But let's dive into what those are and what I have seen in the industry do really well. So the first thing I said here was artist collaborations. And this is really in terms of product development. So when we think of product development, historically in our industry, product development has been done in a pretty predictable way, for lack of better words. So your company might have a product development team, and that team will typically research trends. They might get information from sources like the color marketing group around trending colors and what they should include in their products. From there, they'll develop and test out a new collection. And then once it's streamlined, then they put that product or product collection into their go-to-market product launch pipeline. And so all of that is fine, right? We don't want to really get away from that, especially if the process is not broken. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But we do want to add on to that. We do want to stand out in a way, because the downside of having a product development team, at least I believe, is that you don't necessarily have diversity in design perspectives because you have that same team designing your products every single year. They are coming from their own lens of design or their own take on what the industry should see from your brand. Again, that is fine. But if you're looking to stand out, you really need to bring in an artist or designer collaboration to bring a diversity and perspective, to bring something fresh and new, to bring a conversation starter, to create excitement for your brand that might have never been seen before. So 2 of the brands that I saw at HD Vegas that really stood out to me for artist collaboration specifically, because of course you can have artist collaborations, you can have designer collaborations, but the artist collaborations that stood out to me the most at HD were 2 memorable ones. The first was a collaboration with Terry Crews. He did a wall covering collaboration with Aztec. If you guys don't know, Terry Crews is an actor, right? And I most famously know him for his role in the movie White Chicks with Marlon Wayans. And when I came across this collection at HD Vegas, I was like, wait a minute, Terry Crews is an artist? It was so unexpected. And because it was unexpected, it was a huge conversation starter. I also liked that the wall covering that he designed was customizable. So essentially, if you guys have not seen the collection, he did all of these hand drawings of famous people, including like Oprah. I forgot all of the different images that were drawn, but I clearly remember Oprah because I love Oprah. He did all of these hand sketches, and then those hand sketches were obviously digitized and then created a pattern, and then that pattern was printed on a wall covering. And so, one, again, it was so unexpected. Like, who knew that Terry Crews was an artist and had this level of skill to create such a beautiful wall covering? And then from there, it could be customizable. So like if you didn't want Oprah on the wall covering, you could cut her out. Or if you wanted some other person or object or thing in the wall covering, you could request another hand sketch to be included in this beautiful wall covering design. So that was beautiful. And it just like took the show by storm, I believe, with this like unique artist collaboration. Another part of this was that their marketing materials were just spot on. Not only did they have like brochures, of course, to just like tell the story of Terry Crews and his artistry and this collaboration and what can be done with this wall covering, but they also had some really nicely designed tote bags. I know tote bags are very popular at trade shows, but they had some really nicely designed tote bags that pulled out one of the illustrations that was used on the wall covering and put that onto the tote bag. So that got people really excited about having this like one-of-a-kind artisan, almost like tote bag. And it also brought the experience outside of the booth and allowed people to walk around with this bag so that people would be asking like, oh, where'd you get that bag? Oh, it's from Aztec, right? And then that brought more people to their booth, I'm assuming. So that was one of my favorite ones at HD this year. My second favorite, and this is actually not in any particular order, was Wolf Gordon's artist collaboration. So their collaboration, they actually did with multiple Mexican artists. So whoever is on their product development team or marketing team, I can't remember exactly, but I remember learning about this story of their artist collaboration, that they went to a design week or a design event in Mexico, and they discovered so many new artists there. And that sparked a new interest in all of these Mexican artists that were discovered, right? They had some sort of following and traction in their market, but they didn't have a big presence within the commercial industry or within hospitality. So Wolf Gordon decided to partner with all of these Mexican artists and bring in just a diverse perspective around design. So if you did not see their booth, it was very small, but very impactful. They designed it sort of like a mini art gallery. So when you first got to the booth, you were able to see the story behind all of these artists, the story behind the collaboration and why it was so important. And then they showed these like strikingly beautiful, huge displays of wall covering and some of the same designs on different substrates. So you can see how impactful the designs were on a large scale and on different substrates and how the design changed on a Mylar versus just a regular type 2 textured wall covering. So it was pretty amazing what they did. And I love that it was truly an ode to diversity, because rarely in our industry do you see inspiration being pulled from another culture and it being credited to the source. So I just love that collaboration. And it just sparked so many interesting conversations, right? The reps had a very interesting story to tell every time somebody walked by. And I just thought that was amazing. So if you're looking to do artist collaborations, designer collaborations, especially launching it at a trade show, it just like sparks so much conversation. It gives a little bit of surprise to your brand versus what designers might normally expect from your brand. And it also just gives your reps who are working the booth an interesting story to tell that they might have never told before in a presentation that they're doing at a design firm. So I love that. So that was number one, artist and designer collaborations, huge trend when it comes to strategy or interior product brands. The second trend, which I don't think is ever going away, is, of course, effective brand storytelling in the trade show booth. So if you're like listening right now and you're like, what is a brand story? Why is it important? How do I effectively tell a brand story? Then I want you to pause right here. And I actually want you to go back to a couple of episodes from season 5. Season 5, episode 7, Crafting Your Brand Story, The Power of Storytelling. And listen to season 5, episode 9, 4 Signs Interior Product Companies Need Help with Brand Storytelling. So go back and listen to those if you're like, what is brand storytelling and why is it important? And then after you listen to those, then come back to this episode and finish listening here, okay? But while we're here, let's talk about brand storytelling in a trade show booth. The ones at HD that I thought were very effective had a couple of things. Well, more than a couple. The first thing was that they had interactive booth experiences, somewhat of Instagrammable moments, right? And if you've listened to this podcast before, I have talked about this plentiful. When somebody comes to your booth, you want them to not only take pictures of what's in the booth, but you want them to take pictures of themselves in your booth and for them to reshare that content online so that they can, 1, remember for themselves, and 2, share with the audience in their social network. The other thing that I saw that was very effective for brands at HD this year was just showcasing brand values and differentiating factors for your brand through statement pieces in your booth. So whether that be furniture, wall covering, textiles, what have you, and mixed in with graphics. So whatever your brand values or your differentiating factor or your sustainability story, what have you, people who did it right made it grand so that someone from 20 feet away, 50 feet away could see it from across the room, from across the aisle, and be drawn in to come over to your booth to be curious. So if a rep had not told them to come to the booth, if they were beelining across the showroom floor to get to somewhere else, if they were, who knows what they were doing, you wanted to catch their eye. The brands that did it well made a statement with some sort of display of their product and some sort of graphic that really showcased what differentiates themselves from their competitors. One brand I really loved was Society 6 at HD Vegas. At Society 6, I had just became familiar with them prior to HD Vegas because I was doing some research for a client before going. And Society 6 is an awesome brand. And what I learned just from the experience in their booth is that they were an innovative art brand that could offer many forms of art in different mediums, and that art would spark excitement in a space. That's one, the feeling that I got from the booth design. That was without anyone ever talking to me. And I understood that because of the booth layout, of the booth design, of the colors that they chose. And the most important thing that they did to stand out was that they did a live painting by an artist that was happening in the booth during the show, right? So they started at the beginning of day one with this artist painting in the booth. So one, that sparked my curiosity because I'm like, hey, I want to see what that's going to look like when they're done, right? So that made me want to come back to see it. And it made me also curious to see how they were going to share that imagery on social media afterwards. So Society 6 really did a great job telling their brand story with statement pieces, whether it was that live painting, the colors that they chose, the way that they displayed their artwork, down to their marketing materials were just simple enough to capture your attention and tell you your next step with their brand. They also did a really good job with follow-up, right? They had fast, effective follow-up email marketing post-show to give you a recap of what you experienced in the booth, to show you that imagery of the live painting that happened, and to just move you along their customer experience that they have so thoughtfully designed. That was a really good one. That was the second thing when it comes to trends for manufacturers that I would love for you guys to implement in your next trade show. Last but not least, the third trend that I mentioned earlier on in this episode is, of course, in-booth and out-of-conference events. Now, this is an oldie but goodie. Of course, everybody's doing events. Everybody's entertaining. In our industry, we like to have a little bit of fun, right? So this is old school news, but it is a trend to have something that kind of shakes things up in terms of how you go about marketing the event. So let's talk about one specific example that I saw that was executed beautifully at HD Vegas, and that was Majestic Lighting. So I actually became familiar with Majestic Lighting before HD Vegas because one of my clients is the Young & Associates. They are a multi-line rep agency based out of Maryland, and they rep Majestic Lighting. As my team was revamping their website and their branding and everything like that, we had to also become familiar with the brands that they represent, one of them being Majestic Lighting. So I had my eye on Majestic Lighting when going to HD Vegas. And the thing that I loved about how they did their in-booth and out-of-conference events was that they shook it up a little bit. First of all, people knew that Majestic has an epic party every single year. So they did kind of a two-part experience. Part one was in their booth, and part two was their epic party. What they did in their booth was that during a certain time of the show, or this is at least what I understand, they alerted people, or there was a word of mouth situation going on that they would be giving away tokens to their party. So I remember going by the Majestic Lighting booth and I was like, oh, wow, this booth is buzzing. It was as if they had a whole buffet available in their booth, but there was no food. But people knew that in order to get there, they first needed to go to this in-booth experience, right? So there was lots of laughter, lots of chatter, lots of excitement to get this token that would get them exclusive access to this amazing event that is hosted every year. So that's one thing. In-booth event had something exclusive to give away during a certain time, and there was this buzz happening before the in-booth event occurred, right? So everybody was whispering to each other during the trade show, oh, go to the Majestic Lighting booth. They're giving away tokens to this party. It's the most epic party in Vegas, so on and so forth. So they created scarcity, they created exclusivity, and they just created excitement overall for the out-of-conference event that they were happening, right? So with all of this traffic coming to their trade show, they were able to make connections with their clientele. They were also able to show off their products. Very small booth, but very impactful with how they designed that. Then their out-of-conference event happened on one of the hottest nights. When I say hot, I don't mean like temperature-wise, y'all. But it happened on one of the hottest nights at HD Vegas, and everybody was so excited. They had their exclusive tokens to get in. If you did not have that token, you did not get in. And if you were in there, you had the time of your life and you were bragging about it the next day. Listen, I was supposed to be at the event, but I was so tired. I had walked about 20,000 steps on that trade show floor and my feet could not get me there. But next year, it'll be a different story. But anyway, I wanted to just highlight how they just took those two simple things, the in-booth event and an out-of-conference event, and just like played around with it a little bit to just create some excitement around their brand and just having a good time. Another brand that I thought was really interesting was Schluter. So Schluter, they're more so like the utility brand that you need for your hotel room. But one of their staples that has become a staple for their in-booth events are margaritas, right? Everybody wants I think they call it a Schluterita. I might be making that up, but I feel like I heard somebody say that at their booth. So since that has become a staple, people knew what time the margaritas were coming out and that margaritas were going to be there. So I remember being at the booth right maybe 5 minutes before margarita time, and people were already coming over lining up because their rep or their direct contact at that brand had already told them, hey, this is what you can expect from us at this specific time. Very simple. You can expect a margarita at 4:00 or whatever time it started. And so people were anticipating this throughout the day to get the happy hour started. So very simple in terms of just letting people know when an event is happening at your booth and making it a signature so that they can expect that at every trade show moving forward. They know, hey, we're going to Schluter over at booth 1051 or whatever it is at this time. So for your brand, think about what is your staple event that people are going to know you for, whether it be in booth, out of the conference, what have you, and what can people know to expect from you at every trade show that you are participating in. That will make you unforgettable. So today we talked about a few different things, right? We talked about updates about our brand, what we do here at Thrive in Design. We talked about 3 trends when it comes to strategy that helps your brand stand out, specifically at trade shows. And we're going to be talking about trade shows a lot this season, actually, between myself and one of the guests that are coming on. So I hope that you took some nuggets away from artist collaborations to brand storytelling to engaging with your clients in memorable events. Take something from this episode and go implement it today. But if you feel stuck with any of these things, good news. I have 3 spots per month open for strategy intensive days to map out how you can master these tips that I've shared today. So head to thriveanddesign.co/contact to schedule a discovery call and we can talk about pricing and next steps. So what is a strategy intensive day, you might ask? This is a focused, deep dive session where we work together to tackle your biggest business challenges and opportunities. This one-day, high-impact service is designed to accelerate your progress by dedicating several hours to developing a comprehensive strategy tailored to your specific needs. Whether it's refining your business model, planning a product launch, or creating a marketing strategy, we'll cover it all in detail. The goal is for you to leave with a clear, actionable plan and the confidence to execute it. ensuring that you can move forward with clarity and purpose. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, and you need help mapping out all the things we discussed today, again, head to thriveanddesign.co/contact to schedule a discovery call, and let's work together. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to you hearing all the wonderful and impactful episodes that we have planned for this season. Thank you for thriving in design with us. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for joining us this week on Thrive in Design. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Thrive in Design. And for more strategies on how your product company can innovate in the interior design industry, head to training.thriveindesign.co. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to create captivating content. See you next week.